Welcome to the Strong Talk podcast, joined once again by Jonny Lieberman, uh, automotive extraordinaire. Just told me he just went for a wonderful drive in the Gunther Works car. Absolutely insane. So
Yeah, it's your average everyday $1.3 million, 840 horsepower, Porsche. It's ridiculous. But yeah,
yes, of course, being a journalist, you don't own it, which is even better.
in a way, I mean, I got to take it up 3 days in a row to like my favorite road, and that's probably what an owner would do in a year. So I kind of have like a year's worth of ownership without having to pay a nickel. So yeah, it's
And,
uh, it's it's quite
and you
cool.
worry about it. You're a little more worried about all that stuff. You don't actually get to enjoy it as much. I always feel like with most cars I know, like I've driven, I'm like, even if I've wanted it for so bad and I get it, and I'm like, after like a few months, I'm like, okay, I feel like I've experienced it, and I want to do something else. So
Yeah, we got to come up with a name for that because that's talked about where it's like the second you make the purchase, you're sort of like regretting it already, like I've trapped myself, and then it's like, oh, I'm not really doing with it what I envisioned I'd be doing, or I did what I envisioned, and now what? I'm stuck with it, you know.
then you just do the same thing again, and there's some that are like fun for a while, but it's like you just if you're obsessed with cars, like you or I are, like I feel like you want to have different experiences, and
That
then you want to move on, even if the next experience is worse.
Kale, I mean, it that's why I have my job because I get new cars constantly, and it's very rare. I had it happen a couple weeks ago. I had the new Aston Martin Vanquish, and that's one that I keep closing my eyes and seeing. Normally, I'm like, I had that as a press car. Oh yeah, like, or what did I think about that car? I got to go back and look because it's been a couple years, but like that, something about that car just clicked with me, and yeah, it was like. I was rough math, and I'll spare your audience, but I've probably had 800 press cars over the last 2 decades, or I should say, I've returned 800 press cars, and a couple of them I feel bad about, and this was the first one in a long time where I was like, oh man, and like, they're only making 1,000 of them. They cost $500,000. I'm just probably never gonna get to like, I'll see one maybe, but I won't be able to like pound on it for a week like I did, and so it's like, oh, that's like.
Yeah, but
Chapter closes.
it, yeah, just fond memories.
Yeah, yeah. Got some good
All
pictures.
right, but that's all you need.
Yeah,
Uh, that's the same I feel about like with my strongman career. They're like, "Do you want to do it again?" I'm like, "No," but like, there's me looking good lifting an Atlas stone. I'm
right,
like, I did it. There's proof.
right.
I remember how hard it was to train for that.
Right.
What it felt like how it felt absolutely horrible at the time, and like my skin was ripping off my body. But I did it. But like now I want to do something else. There's a few lifts I'd like to do again, like you're saying with the Vanquish. Like I really wish this, but and I'm like,
Which
just
lifts?
don't
I'm
know if
curious,
it's
like what like.
there's like I never hit a 300-pound log press,
Mhm.
which at the like really good for my weight class. And I like if I would like train to do one thing, it would be to do that, and do that under 200 pounds, just because like of course I could just get like super fat and make it a lot easier on myself to do that one lift, but or fat even fatter, I mean,
Yeah,
compared to
yeah.
what I'm now. Uh, and like I lifted like 285 for multiple reps, 290 for 295, and like the amount of times like
Uh
300, it was just like it's just annoying. Like everything else, I'm like I always wanted to deadlift 600 at my weight. I did that. I would have liked to win nationals, but like I know that's just like that has waned like as far as the thing. But I would have really liked to hit a 300-pound overhead press.
295 is tough because you're right there. You're right there. That's
Yeah,
tough.
I've hit, yeah, and like 290 for a double. Like, it's like I should
Yeah,
have. Like I could have. Like it
right,
wasn't.
right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean,
so
yeah, yeah, that's life. I mean, that's tough, but yeah, that is very close. I feel for you. That's
so it's the only thing that like I'm like, "Oh, maybe I should just focus on this one lift." And I start to and I get back and then like life just doesn't work out, and then it's just, or, I like you said, you're gonna turn 50
Yeah.
tomorrow. I just turned 40. I was doing this. I was like, what, 28? It's a lot different.
That's the other thing. And again, like I used to like, lift weights more enthusiastically, but I remember, like again, it just sounds so stupid to even say it out loud, but like 25 years ago, like, I could deadlift 500 pounds without thinking about it. It didn't even like warm up, and like I've been trying to get
Hmm.
back to 405 and it's like, oh, I'm old. Like, like 315 is moving great. Do like four of those, no problem. And then it just, 365 feels really, really, really heavy. And I'm like, oh God, I'm old. This sucks. I can get there. It's just like consistency, like anything else.
Yeah, I think we can all get there, and obviously there is like people that are like even way older
Sure.
than us that do
Sure.
that, but like they're crazy though. Like,
My friend
um,
James like just started
yeah,
bench pressing like a couple years ago and he was doing like I think he did 405 like a couple times. Like I was like, what? Like where? And he was like, when I knew he was just like a thin guy, and like, and I was always,
jeez,
being a strongman fan, I guess. I was like, bench press. Wow, what a stupid exercise. I'm like, let's. What are you squatting? What are you deadlifting? He's like, no, bench, bench. And then when he got up to like 405, I was like, Jesus, all right, keep going. That's impressive.
yeah. Even if you don't like bench, you got to respect it once it's like past the numbers that you're like squatting and deadlifting. You're
Yeah,
like,
and
okay,
he's in
that's
his like
fine.
late 50s, if not 60. I don't know exactly how old he is, but older than me.
Insane.
And I'm just like, dude,
Yeah,
go for it. That's awesome.
yeah. I had a hard time like when my it stopped being as like because I used to just like deadlift and I'd kill my just like lay in bed like the next day and
Yeah.
who cares? It would hurt for a day and I'd be done. But like then like if I have to get up with my kid and I have that feeling, I'm like this not like whatever that extra I went, it makes it a lot harder. Then I'm like, all right, we're driving school in the morning and everything's stiff. When you're only taking care of
Yeah,
yourself,
totally.
it was a lot
Totally.
easier. But you're actually going to World's Strongest Man.
Yes.
You're
Well,
such a
my
fan.
wife
It's your
said,
birthday present,
and I
right?
was probably like, binging on YouTube videos, but she said, "What do you want to do? You're turning 50. What do you want to do?" And I don't know why I said it, but I was like, "I want to go to World's Strongest Man." And again, like it's a show I've been really into. I mean, I can't tell you when people ask me like, "What's your favorite sport?" It's been probably 30 years that I've said "World's Strongest Man." I didn't even know the term strongman. I just knew it as World's Strongest Man back then, but I've just always been obsessed with it. And so yeah, it's in California again. It's not in Florida, so I was like, let's drive up and go. I'm just going to the finals, and now that they've changed it, I'm a little bummed out because actually the heats might be like these might be the best heats ever for World's Strongest Man. Like this is just has turned into an unbelievably exciting year. Um, but yeah, so I'll be there Saturday and Sunday, watch the finals. So good enough.
Yeah. There'll be a couple on the last day of the qualifiers. Like that's what I'd recommend to anyone who doesn't want to do the whole thing. Do the last day qualifiers and the finals. Um, but I don't know if they're taking
No,
a day
no
off in
day off
between
this year.
the
Yeah,
final.
it goes
No,
right into
okay,
it. So
okay.
um,
So that's rough. But
that's what I mean. Again, I think this is just like such a cool year. Like, I'm sure everyone's familiar with the change, but like having the heats count towards the final is just rad. Because it just means the heats are going to be crazy. And then the athletes are just, I mean, look, obviously it's the level of talent in strongman right now, professional strongman is like through the roof. And like every athlete's like just like, very exciting. And there's really no, especially with the heat events, like there's no weak link. You know what I mean? There's no like, oh, that guy's, why is he there type thing. It's like, even like a first timer like Guardian, Nick Guardian, like, these are great events for him, minus the deadlift. Like, dude,
especially the
that guy loves
qualifier
picking
events.
stuff up. I know he can throw. And a lot of moving fast events, which. So I'm just stoked. I'm kind of now sad I'm not going to the prelims.
Yeah. So the main thing, yeah, the main thing, the event format. I think I did a quick video on it, and I don't do like as many strongman updates as I used to. I used to do them daily. I just kind of got over it. But like that, I got actually excited for, which is rare for me in
Yeah,
strongman these days. This is one of the best moves I've seen World's Strongest Man make. I mean, we're we still got to see to
yeah.
make sure, like how it plays out. But I don't see how this would be a negative. Basically, all the athletes in the events, they're not doing like one does a squat, one does a deadlift. They're all doing the same events, which they were always against for a long time, which I didn't really understand. They thought people would get bored watching it, but I don't. I think it makes it better for the viewer because they can actually compare it. Having like watched this with like friends, girlfriends, 10 years ago, like we're all watching in the house, like things like like a normal person like doesn't get or understand. I think that's a great. There's no stone off, like, where there's like, which is awesome because like I get why they did that because, you'd have like a Brian Shaw goes through the heats and then like, and how it works for a TV format, someone might only see that heat. And if they just see some guy like putting in like 70% effort, that's not good television.
I totally, yeah. It's one of those weird things. I interpreted it when I heard the changes. I'm like, because I make car videos. And I used to make a lot more car videos, but
Sure.
we spent a lot of time with creative people who were like, "Oh, I know TV," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you don't know cars." And they'd make all these weird decisions where I'm like, "No, no, that's not what car people want." And when I saw this change, I'm like, "This is exactly what people who know strongman would have done." You know what I mean? And also, it's like, there's been, and again, I read way too many internet comments, and when I die, I will realize I've wasted so much of my life. But like, just the party train of like, oh man, strongest man on earth, and like it's so much better than world's strongest man. And now I don't think you can say that. I think like this is actually like a much more fascinating um kind of event because, and again, for me, I'm like max lifts are cool, but when I shut my eyes and think of World's Strongest Man, it's like Farmer's Walk. It's like those like crazy moving events because I've seen weightlifting, and I've seen powerlifting, but it's the crazy moving events and like get a weird object and do something with it. And so yeah, I'm super stoked on this year. I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah, that's a great analogy with you have like a TV exec looking at like how to make television, but like you're totally discounting how anyone who isn't just a like casual passerby who's only going to watch it once is going to be like this is not how it should be, which is very frustrating and turns people off. And that's how you got people from all the years of like WSM making like little decisions like that,
Right.
not thinking about or fan base. You
Yeah.
have people like that going to Strongest Man on Earth and
And
making those kind of claims.
and when there was
But
no competition, sure, World's Strongest Man had it locked down, but it's just one of those, yeah, it's just one of those weird, unfortunate things, especially in years past where like everybody hates the stone off. The athletes hated it, the fans hated it. I'm sure the promoters didn't think it was great, but it was like a TV decision because the way the heats worked was, yeah, Shaw would lock it up in two events. Get two first places in a row. It was untouchable. And, and again, I would have done the same thing if I was Brian Shaw, but like, why exert yourself when the finals are coming up? Like, and I remember, people would, get, frustrated. I remember this with Brian when he like would, pick up the deadlift once or whatever he had to do to win the group. But like, why do more? So now that that's eliminated. The only thing I would do, I don't know if you thought about this at all. The only thing I would do different is I would have two wild card athletes. So instead of taking 10 athletes to the final, do 12. And so in other words, if like it's and I would say up to two. So in other words, if you because everyone's doing the same events, let's say somebody scores more points than somebody who got second place in another heat. The two people that do that bring them through as wild cards. So you can have two good third place guys go through because just the way the group format is, Um, especially like I'm looking at it like in we'll get to the individual groups, but like Lucas Hatton may not make the final. Like there's a really good chance he doesn't in his group, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, they did that one year. They had like the 12 people. There was a wild card.
Yes, yeah,
I think Jerry Pritchett went as a wild
right.
card. They did it 1 or 2 years, and they won from it. I don't know if it's just scheduling or whatever. It's really like they have like stuff like that. But I always liked the idea of a wild
Yeah.
card.
Or even just
And I
one,
do
just
agree.
the top finisher, as long as they beat somebody who's in second place in point total, like, just one through 11-10. What's the difference? It's TV, and you know how they actually edit the TV show together. It's a lot of fluff, there's a lot
Yeah.
of time to carve out of there.
Well, with the wild card thing, it does present a good way for TV to build up
Yeah.
drama as well, which is the number one thing in TV, especially,
Yeah.
stuff like this.
Right.
But yeah, they made a lot of changes this year. Maybe for next year they'll get on that. They even have just 25 athletes this year, not 30.
How do you think about
And
that? 'Cause I'm like more the merrier, but I'm also like it's so like they have 25 strong athletes, you know.
yeah, I don't really. I mean, there's people that could go, aren't. Obviously Thor's the number one, but that's not from a lack of an
Yeah,
invite.
right.
That's just
Yeah.
politics and personal decisions, and I agree with him on that, but that's a whole other podcast
I
in
don't even know the
itself.
story. I don't even know the
Uh,
story. I'm just like, I'm the stubborn too. So I'm on Thor's side just
yeah,
because like, man versus corporation. Like I'm sure Thor's got a legit beef, but
for sure. It's a generally a good idea to be on the side of the individual versus a
yeah,
corporation in life, if you don't
yeah,
details. But yeah, it's just I think the 25 is okay. I think it makes it a little harder as far as point separation. Only five, like if you win an event, you only get 5 points. Usually you get 10, like in a finals or stuff. It makes it a little separate points there.
yeah.
Um, but
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
but yeah, I was just gonna say you know, basically, top scores in each, they advance. And the main thing I didn't like the stone off is because people would then game that oh, if I do this, I just need to get third place. So the same thing kept happening.
Right.
But now they're going to score. They're not going to score out of all the athletes, as this is how I interpret it. But they're going to take the 10 finalist
Yes.
scores all
Let's
together,
get it.
and whoever has the highest total scores out of that, basically the qualifiers acts as the first
Right.
event. So, you know, Tom Stoltman will start with 10 points. It had the best scoring out of all of them, but I don't think most likely it would be Hooper just based on
Yeah.
consistency. And, he seems smart on how he's able to do math and stuff and figure out what you need to do better than anyone. One thing I will know, it kind of would make it, if they're going to keep doing it in order, it would make it's a big advantage to be in group five now, wouldn't
Okay,
it?
so I heard how they're doing that. No, the way they do it is, so what's the first event? I have it right here. So the first event.
The loading
Okay, so group
medley.
one does the loading medley first. Group two does the
Okay.
deadlift. Group three does the overhead medley. And then four Titan toss and five is the first one to go in the stone medley. So they rotate that through. So there's actually it's actually really smart. There's no
Hmm.
advantage. There's no advantage to being in a certain group. Like I think you still go last if
Okay.
you won the last event, I think, or maybe it's a point total, but within
Yeah,
yeah.
within your group. Yeah. The schedule just says 10, 2, and 5 for those.
I heard
But
Laws and
we'll
Liz
see
were
how.
discussing this yesterday. I watched about
Oh, they okay.
the group. So
Cool. That would it makes it a lot
yeah,
more
totally.
fair.
Yeah.
Uh, a little more confusing athletes though, and athletes they don't like these changes, but yeah, I really like it. And I think it's one of the best things Worlds has done. While it's going to make me actually like definitely want to watch it. It's definitely a good year to
Yeah, I'm
go.
excited. I'm excited. And
Um,
then again, I mean, my only thing, like I said, I keep saying like, the 25 athletes seem super stacked. However, like, Hooper. when he started World's Strongest Man was probably like out of 30 was probably like the 29th invite, right? Uh,
He was very last minute. He was only
it was COVID,
invited
right?
because it was COVID. It was harder to get people from, it
Yeah.
was a little bit harder for visas and stuff. And that was the kind of thing like people like me, and I've done it in the past, and other fans like, other people that are in the know talk to people like Colin, and they're like even that COVID year, Colin was messaging me like that year, and he was like, who is the best truck puller I don't know about in America? They ask, the nerds
Yeah.
like us stuff like that. If you're in your, if you're on the good side of them all, then and like I got Pena to World's
Oh,
Strongest
nice.
Man
Yeah.
because of
Great
that.
deadlift. Yeah.
And I was showing like, here's the world's he got at America's Strongest Man that year or something. And Colin, of course, he's like, Pena, would he represent Mexico? Like, that's how that
Hey,
stuff worked. Like, I mean, so I messaged him. I was like, if anyone asks, say you
right,
from
right,
Mexico.
right, right,
Like, go go with, don't
right, right,
argue.
right. Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. They're not checking too deeply.
and he's in Texas, so he can just drive right over to Florida where they
Yeah, I
had
mean
it,
it's like
and
it's
they
like
just put on.
Andrade, like yeah, that guy's Mexican. I mean, like okay. Um
Yeah.
but like Derwinski last year, he was like sixth overall in the finals, right? He must have been like,
Hmm.
the 28th, 29th, 30th guy on the list. So,
Uh, yeah, but he did. I think he won Canada's Strongest Man, and they take pretty good stop. They generally
yeah.
use that.
But my
It's a
point is
very hard
by not
competition to
having
win.
30, you know what
Unknown
I
though,
mean?
yeah.
Like would it kill them to have six athletes in five heats, or you know what I mean, or six heats of five athletes?
I think 30's better. You end up to take your point. I think anytime you limit the field, it'd be more of like the already established people, and you're not giving anyone. Even though
There's
there's
a
new
lot.
people,
That Hatton group is
but like
like that's a wild little heat.
the young
It's
group,
just, I
right?
mean, but everyone in there is Hatton, he's scary, like he's hang on, I'm pulling it up. I mean, do you want to get into the heats? Like
Yeah,
it's
let's go. Let's start. You want to start with? Let's start with Group One and go through it.
sure, absolutely.
Yeah, Group One, we got Andrade from Mexico, of course, like we talked about. Thomas Evans, uh,
Right.
Joko Schoonwinkel,
Schoonwinkel, Joko Schoonwinkel.
Yeah, Tom Stoltman, and Eddie Williams. So that's clearly how they seed them. Is they always have like the top athlete, they have second, and then they kind of like throw everyone else in like randomly. So I would say in that one, Tom's obviously the top athlete.
Yep.
And the tough one, Andrade is obviously very statically strong, um,
Yes, because
but
Eddie Williams, I saw him
Eddie's the one to look out for in this heat.
in Vegas, and like, Hooper won the car walk, but like 2 seconds behind him was big old Eddie Williams moving like a freight train. Like he can pick up heavy things and move with them. And has a deadlift, has a really good deadlift. And again, this is the heats are deadlift for reps, not max, right?
Yes.
So, I think he pulled it. There was a deadlift world championship, and like he set the Australian record or something. He pulled like 980 or some wild number.
I that would might be elevated. I don't think his deadlift's that high.
No, but it was like a
But
real big PR for him. It was
yeah, he's been improving.
like 430
But
kilos or something. Um,
very good grip, very good yoke, good at
Tall, so he's
stone.
probably a good thrower.
Yeah, he probably has good toss.
Yeah.
I'd say I mean, he could go, people, I think they're going to look and they're going to go, it's either Andrade or Evans in this group for second.
And Evans is one of those guys like, he's so strong in where he's strong, but he seems to always like get injured and then has weaknesses. But and like again, he's like an overhead guy, he's like
Yeah, and he's coming off like a bicep elbow issue, which
yeah.
I've heard is good. But it just depends how good.
But Thomas Evans,
And
like I wouldn't count him out, dude. He could totally sneak
no,
in there. Absolutely. And then
anyone in this
Schoonvinkel,
group can make anyone in this group can make the finals.
yeah, and Schoonvinkel, I mean, I don't know much about him, but I remember I think he beat Brian Shaw in the heats, right? I mean, it was this big upset the first 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was a while. Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like so, like that he's got ability, like he's not, he's been quiet for 24 months, but like okay, beat Brian Shaw at
he got
anything.
hurt in that finals. Remember, he had like a big like calf or quad
Yeah,
injury.
some leg thing, I remember. Yeah. But
Yeah,
so
which can be hard to come back from.
so yeah, I mean, and then Tom, I'm just gonna look at the events again. I mean, he's probably the safest bet, but Tom is an insane loader, good enough deadlift, overhead, he's rad, Titans toss, he's 17 feet tall, and Stone medley, I can't imagine that. Yeah, I see Tom coasting through into the final.
Yeah, the stone medley is an interesting one where they have to do. I think on the stone, he's very good at overhead medleys, especially when they're at Worlds for some reason.
Uh-huh.
Compared to having to do like the Austrian or something. Toss, pretty good. Deadlift for reps. I think his deadlifts come in along. It's gotten better. He looked like he wasn't confident at the Arnold, but he could do more.
hmm he's always an odd duck at the Arnold. He just looks like the lights phase him, or you know what I mean? Like he's not used to being indoors. It's some weird.
He does his best work
Yeah,
outside. It
but
seems.
you know what I mean? He just looks off every time I've seen him at the Arnold's.
Yeah, it's just maybe it's just the food's a little different. He needs a hug from Colin before he competes. That's like his luck or something.
Right.
But loading medley, he'll do
He's
good.
great. He's an amazing loader.
Titans toss. The stone medley is like has a stone press and stuff mixed in to it, so it's a little different. So I think that actually might end up mattering because we saw like at the Arnold how much a stone press throws some people off. Like they just are really bad at natural
Yeah, and
stones.
I heard, did I hear this? I feel like I heard that the overhead press stone is either lighter or easier to lift because shape wise, because they don't want what happened at the Arnold's to happen on TV.
I assume it'll be easier than the Arnold
Yeah.
one because it's Worlds and it's just a different kind of
Yeah.
format. Yeah, they don't everyone failing, but same thing applies just to a lesser extent, I'd say.
But I mean, but just real
Um,
quick again, like what those heats are amazing. Like these events are like
I know.
because really, if you break out the two medleys, you have eight plus, you have 11 events in the heats. Really, I mean, like different
Yeah,
things to be doing, which is so
and no break.
yeah, yeah. I mean, two events on one day. It's not. But yeah, yeah, no break in between. Yeah. So
Yeah. So who are you picking for second group one? It's a tough one. You got to go out and
can I do the Eddie Williams upset?
I really like that, and I really like Eddie. And he just missed the finals last year. I think it was a stone off, and he was against someone like it wasn't. He didn't do bad at stones. It was just like up against like
Yeah.
you
And,
know
and
someone
again,
at
a
stones. I
stone off proves like it's how's your lower back? I mean, it's just a weird thing to advance someone on. I just again like man, Andrade is if I don't like there's just so much moving, and I haven't seen enough of him moving to convince me that he's a great mover. And again, I saw him and Eddie Williams in Vegas, doing the car walk. And also Eddie Williams smashed it on the overhead in Vegas. They had a dump circus dumbbell. And the car walk, I was like this. And Eddie Williams is first of all, he's weird. He looks smaller on TV than he is.
He's
Dude, I
big in
saw
person.
him in person. I was like, oh my God. Um, so he moves amazing for a man that size. And yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the upset. And then if not him, and then like I don't know, Schoonvinkel's this crazy wild card, and Thomas Evans, remember,
It
NFL
could be
player, so he
anyone.
can move. Like he can be quick. He needs to. So
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go with Eddie Williams because he did so. I liked his performance in Vegas so much, and I'll just yeah.
I like that pick as well. I don't think most people listening will. Just especially how good Andrade did at the Arnold. Um,
It's just based on
the
the events and the heats.
Yeah, the events matter so much in strongman. Also, Eddie's been to worlds format. While it helps, it's not your first time, and I think something that someone, I'm not saying he did this, I don't know what's into his training, but someone who's young like him, they can be so focused on the final events. I've seen this with people, they overlook. It's just a way, like, especially you look like, Andrade is just looking at that like 18-inch max
Oh yeah.
deadlift,
So I'm gonna pull 550. It's gonna be
just
awesome.
the
Yeah.
Flintstone press. Like, he's just like, it's really hard when you go in and they have events like that, and then you're like, no, instead I have to do a loading medley. Like,
If
it's
they
really
flipped the
hard.
final events with the heats, I would have Andrade over Stoltman in Group One.
Oh,
I just
yeah,
would. I just
totally.
would,
I agree.
But and again, if Andrade gets through, awesome. I think I really enjoy watching him. And wouldn't be surprised. I just have this feeling it's just Eddie Williams. So,
Yeah, I think it comes down to the overhead medley and how fast people are on the and probably the Titans toss. It's like those weird events always
and
kind of
again, I mean,
throw
Andrade's like
people.
what, like 6'2"? Eddie's 6'7". I mean, how tall is Eddie Williams? So
Yeah, six
so
six, six
that's
seven, something like that, something
and
like that.
that's I'm sure like in throwing, it seems to be that's like one of the biggest advantages. Like it's always like, you know, the 6'8" guys are
Well, you
always
release
good. Yeah,
here,
you're releasing
like,
it, way higher, so it's just But again, this
yeah.
one's also weird though because it's for
Um,
distance backwards as well. So
so it's a whole
yeah. Anyway,
different
that's my
thing.
pick. How about you? Who do you got? Who
That'll
do
be
you got?
that'll be fun to watch. I said, yeah, I agree with the Williams just
Oh, you
because I
agree? Okay,
like the
cool, cool.
story. Yeah, I'm saying most people are gonna think we're dumb, but that's why you do
To prove how
podcasts.
smart you are at strongman.
Yeah. Uh, no, you do podcasts
Oh,
because you have
right.
bad takes. That's the whole point of you do
Ah,
podcasts.
yeah. And again, it was just the last time I saw him compete, I think was at that Vegas show. And I think he was third. It was like Trey was second. Trey was an animal that show. Like I
He
was
crushed
I
it.
was like it was freaky how good Trey was, but Eddie was like just awesome. So
Yeah, and I don't
yeah.
mean you with bad takes.
No, no,
It's just the
the loyal
collective of
you. Yes,
podcast.
yes.
Um,
Okay.
Group two, we got Wesley Derwinski, Canada, Patty Haynes making his debut, Mitchell Hooper, Bryce Johnson, and Matthew Ragg. It's another interesting one. Obviously, Hooper's the favorite
I, I,
here.
I mean, I
He's the top
again,
seed.
like he's a force of nature. I think he definitely wins this group because, and again, just look at him. Like he's good at every single thing in this heat, and he's a hell of a thrower. He's so explosive, and he's very good with medleys. He's like deadlift, probably the best deadlifter active right now, not counting Thor. And for reps, I bet he beats Thor in reps. It's just his motor's incredible. So yeah, definitely he wins the group, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes natural stones give him a fit if depending
Yeah.
on the judging. He likes to do that lean back thing. There's always controversy over
And again,
that.
I just wish everyone would
But
I
even
just want everyone
so,
to go watch, like,
I
I
don't
can't remember
think.
what it was, but it was oh God, what was his name? The poor guy who had to do the sprint with 100 kilos of bricks on his back, Odie Wilson. When Odie Wilson
Yeah,
and Magnus for Magnuson were in the same year, I think it was like 96 or something, and they were doing overhead press. Like, look at that judging. Like let Hooper lean back. I mean, this is like basically getting like one hand sort of up, and that was a good lift. Like it's just
it used to
yeah,
be very
yeah, yeah.
casual. It's gotten better over it just become more of a legitimate sport.
Agreed.
It
Yeah,
gets
it's a little, yeah,
stricter.
maybe sometimes too strict. But anyways, yeah,
I
Hooper,
agree.
I think for certain. And then
And I think Derwinski, good pick for second in this one. Looking at everything, very good. Probably, at throwing, very good at throwing. I don't know how his injuries and everything have been
He's a
recently.
great thrower, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this Patty character, like seems like he's like a speed demon and a great deadlifter. Like, does he have
Yeah.
any shot here, or the overhead's gonna take him out?
Oh, he needs to get at least the first two in the overhead, and he'll probably win the first event, I would say. He's very quick.
Medley, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
he'll beat Hooper.
It'd be close.
Okay.
If without the rule change, he might beat Hooper with knowing that he needs, that they're gonna all tally him up.
Right.
Again, but then Patty's time wouldn't count towards that if he doesn't make the finals though. So, um,
Right. Right. Right.
he's very fast. Decent throwing. You do Giants Live. They do a lot of throws. Think he's good at that. And yeah, it's just it comes down to overhead for him. From what I can tell,
There's
he's just as
there's a lot of places. That overhead medley is pretty intense because I saw what was it, like Europe's Strongest Man, where they did the overhead thing, and it just caused like so many problems for so many people. But apparently it was that weird, um the one that was rocking, you know what I mean? It was like a bar press with legs.
oh yeah,
It was like a
like it's like almost like a yoke press, but it has like they're on
yeah,
like
it
a
was yoke
little
press.
fulcrum.
Yeah, so that screwed up everybody, including like Cordiaca, who's like a tremendously gifted overhead presser.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it.
So
So
I remember it was like it was the year I went to Worlds when it was down in LA, like 2007. They did an actual like yoke press like that. It wasn't, and then I was competing as an amateur then, and every local contest did a yoke press for like 2 years, and
right.
it sucked. It's like it's sucking. The bar like smashes you in the face if you're not
Right,
careful.
right, right.
And it got real. It was like they go through trends. They do something new at Worlds or the Arnold, and every local promoter tries to do like
Yeah.
probably a worse version of it, maybe a
2000,
better one.
2025 is the year of the behind the neck press. It's gonna be
Yeah, exactly.
great. It's gonna be
It,
great.
it it
Um,
all trickles down like that.
yeah.
Um,
Boy, okay. Tell me this group again. Oh, sorry, I don't have it in front of me. This is
yeah. Derwinski, Patty Haynes, Hooper, Bryce, and Matthew Ragg.
I don't know anything about Bryce. I know nothing.
Yeah,
I
me
hear
neither.
people
I'm
saying
not
he's
up on.
great, but I don't know anything.
Those people they have something to prove. They come in. If you're able to get to Worlds from America, from the U.S., it's so deep here. You're generally ready. Rag is very good deadlifter, very strong overhead, loading medley in this group. They're pretty fast. Derwinski and Haynes, Hooper, they're all very fast.
Yeah, so
That's
maybe,
tough.
yeah, that's tough.
Again, this is another one. Rag is like Andrade. You flip the final events, he's in. I'm not even worried about it. So it's kind of where it's tough, where the people and I don't think it's a bad thing with Worlds because you that like someone a Stoltman, a Hooper, this doesn't affect them. It affects who there are people that could podium in the finals might not make
Oh,
it. That's just how it goes.
again, Andrade, and I'm telling
Could
you,
get third or fourth.
we'll get to that Hatton group, but I'm telling you, like, this is not a good heat for Hatton. Um, Boy, Rag though, like, okay, he's gonna push Hooper on the deadlift, right?
Yeah,
And
very good
they're
at
going for
reps.
broke because they're group two, deadlift to second event. They come out and they have the knowledge that what they do here actually counts towards their final score. You have two of the best deadlifters on earth, they're gonna go nuts. So he's one or two for deadlift. The stone medley, Rag's probably really good at. Um,
He owns, yeah.
he's I bet he can throw. I mean, he's like what, 6'4" and just built like a tank. I bet he can throw. He's not explosive, like quick. So it's really the medley and his overhead. Matt Rag's overhead is good enough. I mean, he'll right.
Very
He just
good.
doesn't move fast, I think, between things. I'm basing all this off of the Rogue, where he was kind of like lumbering up to a rock, and then he'd like, pick the rock up, no problem. Um, yeah. Am I gonna go with Rag? I just don't know what shape Derwinski's in. I'm gonna go with Matthew Rag. He's just always seems to be in
Yeah.
the finals, and
That's fair because the Canada shows they're always really heavy, and then the athletes do end up beat up a lot. Like,
Yeah.
they do very heavy. That's why they're good, but that's also why they can,
Yeah, I'm just trying to think like
um,
the last time I saw Derwinski was last year, right? He hasn't done anything since.
yeah, I haven't seen him at like Giants Live or much
I
like
heard he got
that. So
injured or something. Yeah.
yeah,
So I think it's
so
Rag or Derwinski. I'm going to say Rag just to be a different answer than you, but no real. So
yeah, I think it's a toss up between those. Patty going to throw a big wrench in this, and probably Bryce Johnson because you just we'll wait and see, and you might the new
I wish I
thing.
knew about him. I
Uh,
mean, yeah, and look, like I just don't. Yeah, I just like Stoltman. I think Hooper's just unbeatable in this heat, these events. So yeah, again, second place wouldn't surprise me, but I just feel Rag is. I mean, he's just so fucking strong. Like,
he's
yeah,
strong, and I'd like to see him in the finals. So yeah, I'd like Matthew Rag to advance in
yeah.
this one. Uh, yeah. So yeah, we're on to kind of interesting group is the Hatton group. So we have Shane Flowers, Lucas Hatton, Kilichkowski, Evan Anna, and Rono Nell.
Reno, yeah,
Um,
Reno.
Reno.
Yeah,
Reno,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, you're right.
Reno.
From South
Right.
Africa, I believe. And he's very good, and he got here. He did really good at the Siberian Power Show last year. I think he won it, which is kind of a overlooked show
Sure.
because
It's in
it's
Russia. Yeah.
in Siberia,
Yeah.
Siberia. But I do think it's a good show, and he was able to get there. I think this kind of put him on the map to get here. It's a little harder to get to worlds from countries like South Africa
Yeah,
and stuff,
for sure.
I believe.
From my
But yeah,
understanding is like he's kind of like this mini Hooper in that he's just every show he competes in he wins, which is impressive. And again, I've seen a couple clips of him, but it just looks like one of those Cordiaca looking dudes where he's like just you describe him as fit, the average human, like
yeah, he's the opposite body type of like a
yeah,
Hatton
exactly. Okay,
in strongman. When there's two ends of the
right.
spectrum in strongman here,
Yeah,
there's one
he's
here.
not
It's
Reno. Hey, what I mean? He looks very trim, and
yeah,
super strong apparently. And then, oh God, who was after Hatton? Yeah. So
Kilichkowski.
I mean, again, like it's deadlift for reps. So like, is he capable of pulling four, which would probably do pretty well in his group? Like, yeah, he could probably do four. And Hatton's not a great. There's not really a great deadlifter in this group except for maybe the
No,
South African. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, this is a great group for Kilichkowski to be in. I'm not saying it's an
it's a
easy
great
group.
group for him. Yeah,
I'm just saying,
because there's no.
I,
Go
I
ahead, go ahead.
yeah, I'd say Kilichkowski wins this group. He just looked good. The only thing that was off is his conditioning. Um, just coming off the surgery, it looked better at the Siberian Power Show this year, which he
Yeah,
just won. And these events are pretty similar to that show, and he beat
yeah,
Thor there, pretty easily,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
Um,
So I'm just sort of. But then it's like, okay, so Hatton, right? So Hatton, like safe to say, and I'm not unique in saying this, but he's top three in the world, uh, you know, right now. I think, like Thor's better, Hooper's better. Can make the case that Tom Stoltman's better, but you can also make the case that he's not because the last two shows I've seen Hatton and Tom in, Hatton's beaten him, placed higher. So there's that. So he's really, really good. But then, he's insane in overhead, and he can move quickly in short bursts. So he'll probably do great in that. I think he can deadlift enough, right? He'll he'll be
yeah,
mid-table overall. Um, Throwing the one time I saw him throw, he kept himself off the podium, uh, basically because he couldn't throw. So that I think is a problem. I'm sure he's worked on it, but I haven't seen it. Um, Stones, I'm sure he's awesome. And what's the other event?
So the
That's
overhead medley,
oh,
stone
the
medley,
loading medley,
deadlift for
loading
reps,
medley.
loading.
So my understanding is the loading medley is just sandbags
Yeah, I
into a
believe so.
Cybertruck. Um, I'm so out of it. I was hanging, I was literally hung out with Franz von Holhausen last night, who's the head of design at Tesla, who
Really?
designed the Cybertruck, and I forgot to
Yeah.
tell him this is happening. I'll text it to him. Um, but Hatton can move in short bursts, so just I don't know how long that distance is. So like,
Probably usually pretty
yeah,
long at Worlds.
but he might.
Usually usually like 20 meters is generally 20, 25 meters, 50-ish feet, 50, 60 feet. Like a 25 foot
Oh, and he
with a
just had
sandbag.
COVID, so he's
Oh,
coughing.
and he lives up near like Seattle, and it's probably going to be 100
I
degrees.
think he's okay in the heat. He was saying like, when he wins North America's Strongest Man, it's like in August in Canada and it's like hot and humid.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I don't want to count out Hatton. And I think maybe he's so good that he can just get through this. But yeah, I think it's Mateusz wins and Hatton finds a way to be second, I think.
I will agree with you, and I say based on Hatton being a very smart,
Well coached.
methodical athlete, well, he has the kind of coach and his relationship with them where they game it out. They know you have to place this here to do this. If you didn't, you have to then do
Yes.
this. I would say with his ability, without that kind, he might miss the finals, not being like as but they know this. Like everything we're saying, they know that. They know that he'll do great. Podium, be on the podium in the finals most likely based on those
Right.
events. Um, I'm gonna give just knowing the coaching that he
Right.
gets through, and that he, just his strongman IQ.
Yeah.
But Shane Flowers might be the best thrower in this whole thing. He's very good at loading.
And
Um,
Shane has been a World's Strongest Man before, right? Because I
yeah,
know,
I think it's his
okay, because
second
I
or
know
third year.
Nana and has been before. Obviously, Mateus has been before, and so Lucas and Reno have not been before. And again, this is just going off of what I've heard, Big Laws say, and many other people say, like it's just weird, and that your first time there, you're just trying to figure everything out, and it's like off-putting, especially
It's
like
a
with the
different
big
kind
break.
of.
Yeah.
A lot of people, like, it's the same thing. They're not used to being on production set, which is
Yes.
basically what it is. You'll see, working in TV, in automotive and stuff. You're gonna look at how it's all. Oh yeah, I get it. Like it's
Yeah.
it's different
Yeah.
compared to like the Arnold. It's a competition.
Mhm.
Strong. There's still media around the competition. It's not like they're not worried. They're not trying to get the lighting right. Like I remember at Worlds, like we're waiting for like move, like you know it's strange.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So I don't know how much that, but like I just don't think that's gonna shake Lucas Hatton. You know what I mean?
no, I don't think so either.
I just think he's ready to be, you know, top three in the world. I just think he is. You know what I mean? And I think if you're top three, you just kind of, I don't know how to deal with that kind of thing. I have no idea with Reno. I hear he's great. I hope he does great. I just don't know anything. And then Evans Nana, like he might surprise people with these events, right? I mean, we haven't talked about him, but like he can
Yes.
deadlift. He moves
Mm.
fast. Um, I bet he can throw. I don't know anything about his throwing. No, actually, I saw him throw at the Magnus. He did pretty poorly, I feel like. Although that's just
Yeah.
Magnus throwing is weird.
Everything at the Magnus is weird. And not in a bad way, but
Oh,
it's just like it's like if a contest was from 1992.
it's
Um,
great. That's what I love about it. I mean,
yeah.
I honestly. So remember, I said, my wife said, "What do you want for your birthday?" I was like, "I want to go to the Magnuson Classic and stand in the snow for 3 days and watch people lift rocks." And she was like, "No," So, um, but
Sacramento it is.
Sacramento's fine. Yeah, Sacramento's fine. But Yeah, so I don't know. But Evans, this is his second time at Worlds, right?
Yes, yeah, I think so.
So I don't know. I don't know.
I, I got to give it to Hatton that he's going to pull it out.
So
Um,
Mateus and Hatton, yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I think it's not going to be easy for either one,
Yeah.
really.
No.
You know, the thing that helps Kieślowski is like this isn't this isn't the strongest deadlifting group.
No.
Like I'm not if you go by groups.
I mean, but isn't well, real quick though, Reno Nell, isn't he known as a deadlifter?
Yeah, no, he's good, but like everyone
Sure.
at Worlds is a deadlifter pretty much, you know. But I'm like, I'm going if you go like by who's going to be in the top 10 at deadlifters here,
Right.
it looks like it's a good group,
Yeah,
you know, for
Hatton would be
Kieślowski is
like
what I'd say.
12th and like overall for deadlift.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So,
And again, I think I've seen Kieślowski because they're using it's 350 kilograms, right? For the
yeah, that's a manageable weight for him.
yes, I bet he can do 4 or 5, like I think
Yeah, he did better at the Sabiro. I think that was for Max. But again, that was kind of simple. It was a good one to look out for these choirs because it was a lot of like medleys. There was a natural stone medley, and there wasn't the strongest. Like there were strong men, but the deadlift standard was lower at that show, other than Thor, obviously.
yeah,
Um,
force of
but like yeah, he was up here. Everyone else was right here. So like it showed, and with that, without there being like the really, top deadlifters that he's competing against, he placed, he ran away with it,
right, right,
like where if like there was like better deadlifters there, Thor would have got so many more points over him than he did. It
right,
would have been a
right.
lot closer.
So yeah, so your point's totally valid that like again, if Mateo, I mean, I'm kind of looking again just at these names. Like I could see him. I mean, I don't know. Shane Flowers probably beats him. Hatton beats him. I mean, he might just get like 2 points. I mean, can he can
Yeah,
can Mateus out deadlift Evans Nana? Right? I don't know.
prob yeah,
Probably,
probably.
but I don't know. So
But it's just I look at the other four events. There is a situation where like yeah he gets last in the
yeah,
deadlift and it's hard for him to advance for other things. But which is why I'm saying I don't think it's going to be for either one, even though they're some of the best strongmen in the world.
yeah. And I would say
Um,
also like if Reno Nell, actually is like Hooper 2.0 and wins the group, I won't be shocked. I don't know
no,
enough
not
about
at
him, but
all.
what I'm hearing is like a really good athlete is about to like become globally known. So, which is exciting. Which is why I
Yeah,
love Worlds.
yeah, that's basically what Matt Rhodes has said. He's been hyping him up. I think he helped him get him here. Just kind of he invited him to that show last
Yeah,
year, and he seems to
yeah,
know. I talk with him a
yeah,
lot and we go over stuff. But yeah, it's just you haven't. It's hard to say when you haven't seen them. He competed at Siberian Power Show, all these other big shows, but not at these like you know these shows here.
yeah.
The Arnold
I
stuff
just
like that. It's harder
I
to
just
know.
don't know enough. But again, I won't be shocked. Like, if Shane wins the group, I'll be shocked. If Evans Nana wins, I'll be shocked. But if
I think yeah, Shane will definitely win this. He's very good at sandbag throw. I don't know if it's the same as throwing for distance as far as like speed, but
oh,
I think they can
he
translate.
crushed it. He was at the Magnus. He crushed it. Just crushed it. It was wild. And then he crushed
Yeah,
another show recently too, where it's just the speed he can get to the bags is wild.
it probably might be the best in the world at
Yeah,
like a sandbag
yeah,
toss.
yeah. As long as it's not
Um,
max height, yeah.
yeah, I mean as far yeah like a 5 bags for time. Group four,
Any of them could win.
yeah,
I right.
uh, I'm gonna I'm gonna pick Trey to win just because love Trey, even though he's another like
Yeah,
yeah
if you
reps.
flipped it, he would if you had the finals events, he number one with a bullet. But like, boy, he could be fourth in this group, you know. Like Luke Richardson looks unreal, right?
He looked good at
Like he
Europe's.
did, but like also just like physically looking at him, like he just looks like just like a comic book character. You know what I mean? He's just so bursting with muscle. It's weird.
Yeah, and he seems like he's been around for a while, but he's probably like 20 now.
Yeah, yeah, I know, annoyingly, yeah, he's super good. Hope is
Um,
awesome when he wants to be. Foytu, from what I understand, is like will be one of the best in the world one day. He's 24, I think. And then
yeah.
depending on which Maxime shows up, like he's he got third. He was on the podium at World's Strongest Man. He's pretty good. So
I will say this. I don't like saying stuff like this, but this group will be decided by who stays
oh
healthy.
yeah, well that's yeah.
Like just looking at these
I mean
names
Hoth
and
is estimated by injury. Obviously Trey, Luke, obviously Maxime. It just seems to be like falling apart half the time. Um, and so yeah,
yeah,
totally. But okay, so all right, what are the events? So medley.
loading
Maxime,
medley.
right? I mean,
Yeah,
like, he's got to be the best, right?
yeah. Him and Huth, I'd say Richardson's pretty good on his
Yeah,
feet.
yeah, no, for sure. And Trey's not
I'd say
bad, right?
I'd say no, but I wouldn't say it's wouldn't predict him to
No,
win
and
it.
Foytu, I think, is
Um,
pretty quick and young. You know, like so
yeah, I think Foytu might get a good edge in this, just being having less
yeah,
miles.
yeah.
Because I'm also, this like you're looking at this group, and like I would pick Trey Mitchell to win the deadlift, but then going against someone like Luke Richardson and stuff, they're really gonna this looks like a group that's really gonna push each other
And
hard.
again, it's
Like,
it's reps, right? So like, yes, Trey would
yeah,
absolutely, blitz anybody in a max deadlift. I bet Richardson can pull a lot of reps, and doesn't have a reconstructed Achilles. Does he? Did he blow his? I mean, I know he had every other injury.
yeah, I wouldn't, as far as like things being not, being sound, that wouldn't be the
Yeah,
plus for him, but he looks as healthy as he's
yeah.
been in
And then I think
years.
Hoth can
Um,
deadlift for reps. Great. Maxime probably can do for reps.
that no, that would be the
Okay.
struggle with him in this.
Okay.
Maxime's very good at
Oh yeah.
throwing, very very good at
So is
throwing.
Trey. Trey's a great
Um,
thrower.
yeah, he can be. Sometimes he had like sometimes there's problem like so this one's like for distance. He had a problem like with the stone throw at the Arnold. It wasn't as
Right.
good as like I feel like he could have got better like
That was
those
like
two
just a
years
weird
ago.
technique because remember they didn't even know how to practice that one. Like I think this.
Yeah, that's part of
Oh
strongman
no, I
is
agree.
figuring out the
What I'm
events.
saying is though, like Kilikowski is a freak of nature in terms of like throw a rock. Like, oh yeah, obviously this guy can throw a rock
Yeah,
farther than anybody. Like, duh. But but like, uh they're throwing sandbags. Like, Trey has access to sandbags. Like he's probably, he's probably
sure. A little easier to train
yeah.
for.
I think the stone medley is good for all of them. This is a weird group, man. This is a tough group. Um
Yeah.
And again, like you're so right with the health thing because like Tristan, what was he? He was like fourth or fifth last year, fifth at World's Strongest Man because it was Andrade was fourth. I think Tristan was fifth and Duinski was sixth. Is that right?
Yeah,
So
something like that.
that's pretty good. And then the year that he won the Magnus, he was awesome. I don't know if you remember that, but he was like just cut
He is very
above.
good.
But then he was injured, so I don't know. I don't know.
I am gonna go with Trey to win it. I think he can pull it out. You got Stones at the end. Overhead medley, he's solid. And
So hard.
I want to pick
Uh-huh.
Hoth, but it's hard to say. I think, you know, Fotu might be in there. So it
But
kind of a
also
toss up
Luke
for me. But
Richardson, like
like
how do you count
again,
out if a healthy
you can't
Luke like could if he got to the finals, a healthy Luke could compete for the podium, right? I mean,
for sure. He has the
ugh.
ability. Let's just say if you say Luke's all the way healthy, he doesn't have
Yeah,
problems with the
oh,
heat,
yeah, he's
with
English. That's
travel.
tough. That'll fuck him up.
Um, you know, yeah, Trey's fine out
Oh,
there. He's gonna be like what
dude. Yeah.
he
Oh, it's nothing. Yeah. Oh, nothing.
Sacramento's
Yeah, yeah.
nothing.
And Sacramento's gross, man. He'll be like, this is nothing. Yeah. Um,
Heard to Texas.
trying to think.
Um,
I'm I just for some reason I keep coming back to Foytu. He's so good, and then he doesn't have Mitch like screwing around with him this year. You know what I mean? Like they're doing all those gentleman agreements where like,
yeah,
hey, you just keep taking second, I'll keep taking first in the heats. He can actually win stuff out right now. So I don't think we really saw the best of him last year. You know what I
that's
mean?
funny.
Remember that? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
Mitch
Funny that
was
Mitch did
open
that.
about it. He's like, yeah. He's like, I did it. It was a strategy. I wanted to get into the final. I don't care about how I place in the heats. I just want to get to the final. So, hey, it's gamesmanship.
Yeah,
That's fine. Uh,
I'm feeling as you. It's just really hard to count out Luke how he's been looking, but I just have to go by
yeah, Trey's so good.
luck in the
Yeah,
past.
and
It's just hard
Trey
to.
is so again back to that Vegas show. Like Hooper won, Trey was there. Trey was like 2 points behind him, and it was circus dumbbell, which is that's part of the overhead medley. So he's fine at overhead, great at overhead. There's a deadlift in there. He will probably win the deadlift, and he could win the overhead medley. Um, I mean, he's tallish. He's like 6'4". He could probably throw fine. Stone. Yeah, I think you're right with Trey. And then I'm gonna go Trey and Foytu.
Yeah, I
And
think that's
then
fair.
if Luke wins the whole thing, okay, yeah, not shocked. But yeah,
No, yeah,
Trey.
Luke could show up and make everyone else in the group look like oh, I might not make the final even though they thought they would.
Yeah.
I
Although
totally
God,
agree.
we're counting out Maxime, which to me is like not on super heavy stuff where he's good at all this stuff.
I just I just get how his body the miles on Maxime. I
Yeah.
love him as a competitor.
Oh, like
I used
what a
to talk
guy.
to him all the time when he's coming up. I remember like when he did that Sonica show. Nothing personal against him at all. It just feels like
Yeah.
there comes a point in strongman where it's like you have all the ability, but your body just doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And that's the different point for everyone where your body doesn't want to cooperate.
Yeah. No, I totally
Uh,
get it. I just he's yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay.
I
I'm
hope
just
I'm wrong. Anytime I say stuff like that, I hope I'm wrong. But if you're picking objectively, you have to take that kind
why
of
does
stuff into
Kale
account.
hate Maxime? Is how the internet will interpret
We'll
the
hear
stuff.
those things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You hate him. You said his body sucks. Yeah.
Exactly what I said.
That's what you meant. You
Yeah.
want his body to suck. Yeah.
Doing this for 10 years, I've realized that like you say anything, everyone they hear it and they just get mad, but it's all part of it.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep. 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 Yep.
but yeah,
Look. I'm in an industry where if I say a car is good, how much are they paying you? And if I say a car is bad, then I'm an idiot. So I'm either
yeah,
corrupt
people
or
get real emotional about their car.
yeah. So,
Uh, Group five,
oh boy.
but the actual car cannot message you to say.
Yeah. Right. Right. This is an
Um,
interesting group.
this is like the speed group.
Yeah, with Luke Stoltman, who's like older than you. As a 50-year-old, I can now say that. But still
Yeah,
pretty quick. Uh,
yeah. Luke's always had it.
all
You
right, so
know,
Flynn, Andrew. I don't. So what do you know about Andrew Flynn? I don't know much about him.
I think yeah, he's pretty quick. All around. Let me look him up real quick.
Yeah. He's the
But yeah,
real. Him and what's that guy? Bryce are
Pat,
Bryce Johnson. I just don't think I've ever
yeah,
seen either of them actually compete somehow. So
yeah,
I just
yeah.
don't.
So Flynn, he won the Ultimate Strongman,
Okay.
England's over there. It's kind of like that's like the show they do to get known for giants.
Right.
Where he beat Patty.
Okay.
So they're kind of like that kind of like same class coming up together, kind of thing.
He's a little
You know,
undersized compared to, like
True. Yeah,
Mitchell, right?
Yes, yeah, compared to Trey Mitchell, everyone else is
Well,
undersized,
you
but
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
He's like
that's what I said.
Justin
Like he
Hope
looks,
sized or something, right?
he's kind of, yeah, similar kind of look like with, Patty Haynes, like
So that
age.
because Patty Miners, he's under 300 pounds, right?
Tristan looks right around there. I can't tell exactly, but
Okay. Well, I think
um,
Tristan Hoth is like 6'3", like 320. I think he's actually like the same size as you
yeah,
were. But Patty Flynn, my understanding is he's like,
probably like 280-ish or
yeah,
something.
like can get up to like 290 or something. And then Flynn looks to be like that 300, 310 kind of.
Yeah, he got seventh at the Strongman Classic, and so
Okay, yeah.
so he's one of those ones that's like you're like just there.
Yeah.
And no offense to him,
Yeah.
but it's sometimes easier to qualify for all these things if you're from England.
Yeah.
You just
No.
have more opportunities. It's right in your backyard.
Total, 100%, and they know that. Okay, so Guardione, Nick Guardione, Pavlo Kodiaka, Singleton, and Luke Stoltman. I mean, I think Singleton smashes this out of the park. No competition for first place.
Yeah,
Although,
yeah,
although Luke is really impressive.
yeah. I do. I think Luke's a great competitor.
Yeah.
He's looked strong. It's just like what is he like 40, 41, 42 at this
Yep.
point?
Yep.
It's just you might have one more run, one more good qualifier,
Yeah. But like,
but his overhead's not where it was. It was almost like it was right on the verge of world
yep.
record
Yeah. Yeah. He was
2020.
always like,
He kind of got screwed. He was like at his strongest in 2020 and he couldn't compete. Like
yeah. Look what happened to
he was like right
Thor.
at his
Look what
peak.
happened to Thor with the deadlift. I mean, it's like
I know.
happened to everyone. All right, so I'm going to take Flynn out because I don't know much, but so Nick, these are great events for him.
Yeah, throwing, medley,
Moving and then
deadlift will be the consideration, but probably okay for
but I
reps
mean if you think about it,
compared
like
to elephant bar max.
Stolman in competition sometimes has a really weak deadlift.
That's
Like when
true.
he was at the Vegas show, deadlift world championships, like I think he pulled 400 and that was it. I think he failed like four whatever the next jump was, like 420. Um
Yeah.
and then I think Pablo can, since it's 350, like I don't know. This is a tricky one.
Yeah. Looking at um yeah, Flynn pulled 340 for 6 in his most recent training
Okay.
video. So that's
Yeah, so that's
you're looking like so
5 reps.
you could get fives, maybe peak get 6, 7.
And then
Um but probably, you know. So
and then
yeah, but yeah, Singleton, I think that's the kind of event you need more towards 8 to be at the top of
Singleton
it.
will pull
Um
12. I mean, he's insane. He'll right? He'll just you know what I mean? Like, especially because he knows now he's competing against
yeah.
everyone. Like he's the opposite of Shaw. Like, if he needs to give 10%, he'll give 110%. He's just a showman.
Yeah.
Um, but
I think Worlds matters the
oh,
most to him
100%.
too, which
100%.
the
Yeah.
some people they don't. I'm a big fan of
Yeah.
Evan just because it's just how it is. But yeah, I think Evan wins the group. Cord Pavlo seems like he's been a little more beat up lately, not his usual self.
Oh,
Again, not known as not the best deadlifter either. Uh, yeah, so yeah, this I think I think Guardione might surprise
yeah.
people. I think
So Stoltman and
because
Cordiaka, Heat is not their friend. Nick Guardione, Texas boy, right? He'll love that.
yeah,
And like moving, he's great at moving. Sandbags, he's killer at sandbags. So I mean, Evan will probably beat him in the medley, but he might be right there in the medley. I don't know deadlift for reps with him. The only time I saw him compete was a max deadlift at the Arnold's, and he didn't do great at all. But he didn't do great at that show because I think it was
no,
his first like pro show or big show.
his first big one. No, he just
And
but
also, I mean, the Arnold's is
he did
Jesus, it's a heavy show, So
he won the Arnold Amateur to get that
right,
spot, which is very to do. It's a very different format. It's closer to what these heats are, kind of stuff. You're doing a lot of yoke walks, deadlift for
I mean, I could,
reps.
I again, knowing nothing about Flynn, I could see Evan and Nick, Evan and Pablo, Evan and Luke. They'd all make sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, because Luke, he really seems like he's in top shape, like for him, um, and he's not beat up, unlike Pablo. And Nick is young, and is just seems like a lot of potential for growth. Like, I think he will get better in the sport. So I guess I gotta make a pick. And like
It's a tough
Pablo,
one.
like God, if he's actually healthy, right? Like, because I'm every bit of hesitancy I have with Pablo is just him being injured. Like if you go back to like his performance last year at World's Strongest Man with these events, smashes it. It's him. He might beat Evan, like
Yeah.
he was amazing. And I remember he did the 200 kilogram overhead on one foot, like like it's just a wild man. So
He'd be a fun one to get in the finals, just to mix up in the Flintstone press and stuff.
ah, I don't know, Evan. You know what, Nick? Let's just no, Luke, Evan and Luke.
I
Okay,
think Vic. I think Luke still has enough veteran in him to fend off. I think I either pick Pavlo or Luke, and I think I'm gonna swing towards
okay, yeah.
Luke, but would
And
would
this
either
is
way.
honestly just based off recent performances. Like Luke just looked good in that show. He just looked. Those Europes, right? He won. And I mean,
Yeah.
just
No. Well, Luke
oh,
Richardson
so
won
what was the one that
Europe's
Luke
this
Stuntman
last year.
won? Was England? You Britain's?
Yeah, I think it was England, but yeah, he didn't. I think Europe's he kind of struggled a
Oh,
little bit
okay,
more.
fine.
I think
Pablo,
he might
Evan
have
and
got a
Pablo.
little hurt. That's
Doesn't
fair.
matter. Group five doesn't.
Who have we seen not hurt? Who's been not hurt the recently?
Yeah.
I think the rookies Flynn and
Yeah.
Guardione have good flashes of performance, promising. Um, but I think some the veterans still kind
Yeah.
of
And
have
again, like
enough know how
Pablo's
to
when he's
keep them
good,
out.
he's first of all, he's an athlete I'd love to watch. I just love
Moves
yeah,
great.
but he's just I don't know, I just cheer for him.
He's
Well, yeah, I
handsome.
mean, yeah,
So
handsome Pablo. Um, but I just I don't know, I like him and he's a funny guy and yeah, I've been watching his training. He looks pretty good in training, so I don't know. I don't
yeah, I would go
over
with
Luke.
Pablo as well.
Yeah, but like again, if Luke is second, I can't see Evan not being first. I don't see a scenario unless he gets injured. I just don't see a scenario where he doesn't
Yeah,
cruise into the finals. In fact, I think Evan
agree.
like is top three going into the finals.
Out of all the, yeah, that might, you're right. Yeah, that this might be a
Yeah,
format that helps him.
because
Um,
I just think
all
he's
right,
gonna
so
pull a lot in the deadlift. I don't know why, but I've seen his weird training where he'll do like 770 for 12, like for no reason, It's like, what are you doing? But he's just got that motor.
yeah, this kind of format suits him a lot better. Um,
Yeah.
he kind of made some mistakes as far as picks, like attempts at the Arnold with the deadlift. But if he just has a
Yes.
bar, he has to walk up to it and pull it. He doesn't have to think about should I do this, should I do
Yeah.
that.
I don't know.
You
I don't
know,
know who his coach is. I've never known that. He seems like if he had like, like Laws or Alec or someone like that who could get through to him and really tell him what to do. I still think he's just so strong and he's the right size, for like he because he's so quick and then I think he just has so much like static ability that's untapped because I think he just what you said, he just he just struggles with max events and not from strength, like just from like strategy, you know.
yeah. So I do know his coach. Well, I've hung out with him before. He's very smart, very good deadlifter. Um, good stuff.
Yeah.
He competed at Worlds. Adam Dirks. I
Oh,
believe he's still coaching him. I believe he still is. I'm not 100% sure. Uh, but I think Adam's pretty good with strategy in that. He's very smart in that. I think it's just hard to control a T-Rex. I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. I mean,
I
and again, like I
I think
love
that's
it.
more of it. I think that's more of it than the coach.
That's fair. But
I'd like to see, I don't know, Alec could be like, hey, Evan, look at this spreadsheet. Let's figure it out. I don't think that's the right approach for him. I don't think there's some
yeah, but
people.
I just worry, like,
I do. I get what you're saying though. Though.
like, yeah, and like it's just like, well, you'll see like a technical lift, like a Pollen's wheel, right? Like there's three distinct movements to get an Pollen's wheel up, and then he's getting like kicked in the back, and it's like, whoa, take your time, set up, and then explode. I don't know, like,
Last year at Worlds, he did the best he's ever are is figuring out when to put the intensity on and when to not. There's certain lifts and certain times where that intensity is a detriment.
yeah,
And and that's at Worlds last year. I think he was able to kind of ride that a lot better. I think something like the Arnold, which is so heavy and you're like so like right at the top of your ability, it's harder. You
right,
pretty much like for someone like him, he has to be on for every event at something like that. Where Worlds, you can kind of give and take that. Like, hey, maybe for the Titans toss, don't get your back slapped and crank some ammonia. Like it's not necessary. Yeah,
right.
yeah, deadlifts, sure, do that. Before you have to do like an overhead medley where you're gonna have to move in between things, it's better to be a little more even keeled, a little more methodical. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yes, I just like he was third at Worlds last year, and rightly so. He did great, and I'd loved, like, speaking as, I don't know, longtime strongman fan, like nothing would make me happier than Evan Singleton winning World's Strongest Man. Like, nothing's better than an "I told you so" spite victory. It would be so, like, when Luke won whatever show he just won, like England's or Britain's or whatever, like that.
yeah.
It was like, just because like everyone suddenly becomes a Puritan, like, oh, the first person to ever step out on his wife in the history of the world is Luke Stoltman. Like, what a villain, It's like, all right, come on, guys, don't be 18. And I loved like his, I won. It was great.
Yeah, it's interesting, and yeah, people are saying the same thing with like with Hooper. They think it might affect his performance. I'm like, it's not. Like, that's the reason why, and this is a generalization. It's not against Hooper, Luke, or anything, but most of the reason why an athlete's marriage falls apart is because they're focused on themselves more than their relationship. So if that's going bad, they're gonna still keep focusing on winning. That's why,
I mean,
it's
I would
just
also say this. I don't know. I can't talk to Luke, but like Hooper's a kid. He's like not even 30, right? He's like 29 or something. Like
it's that's weird.
he's a kid who suddenly got rich and famous, who was a giant nerd, a fat nerd his whole life. Like, girls paid attention to, you know what I mean? Like, again, here's my thing. I don't care who you have sex with. I really don't. You know what I mean? Like, yes, Mitch shouldn't have said anything about what Luke did. Okay, fine. But again, he's 29 years old. 29-year-olds do dumb shit all the time. It's like, let's focus on the lifting. And this doesn't affect him one iota, you know.
No, that was the point. I have my opinions on all of that,
Yeah.
but I was just saying, as far as it affecting him, I don't. I think there's athletes it could.
No, not him.
Me, I would shit the bed. Like if when I was competing, if like I've been in the place where like I had a breakup right before, it's not good for me. I don't know him personally. I don't think it affects.
I just, no, I can't see it affecting him in any way. I think he won't like getting booed, you know. But
No.
remember, everybody booed him when he won his first Arnold, and everyone just said he was like they said horrible things about him. Did that stop him? No. He won World's Strongest Man a few months later.
Yeah. Were they booing him or were they saying moose? There's a little controversy there. It's hard to tell.
It
But
was, remember his weird speech where he was like, "This doesn't matter
yeah,
at
people.
all."
Yeah.
I know.
This doesn't matter to.
Yeah, and it wasn't so much the booze, it was like the online comments were really anti-Mitch at the time. Uh,
It was a weird comment, but
again, he was 27 or something, and like, here's Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, literally, like, you're from Canada, you moved to Australia. right? So you go from a country with 40 million people to a country with 22 million people, and suddenly you're standing on stage with Arnold Schwarzenegger and you have to make a speech. Like you're gonna say something dumb most of
Yeah, yeah. They should have a little. They should have publicists a little
a
more
little PR, a
sometimes.
little media training. Yeah, like, hey,
Yeah,
don't
a
say
little
this
bit.
doesn't matter. Like like this matters. Everyone
Yeah.
watching really they're watching because they think it matters, like
The, a Canadian trying to downplay
yeah.
things.
I again, he was trying to, look, he was trying to, in my mind, he wants to make the world healthy. That's his master plan, and strongman's his way
Let,
to
let,
do it or whatever.
let's hope he doesn't get into politics then, because we know what this guy.
Well, no, let's hope a lot of strongmen don't get into politics. How about that?
Fair.
I've been watching some Eddie Hall videos and just cringing. Like, what are you talking about? Anyways, um, all right. So, do we bother to quickly try and pick a final?
Oof. All right. We'll go through real quick. All right. So we got the Nat carrying hoist, 18-inch
Well, we
max
got to figure out
deadlift,
who our 10
Hercules
finalists are.
hold.
Should we yeah, okay, let's just pretend everybody's a finalist and that way we'll get through it quickly. Otherwise, we're doing math, right?
I Yeah, I need a spreadsheet out
Yeah.
for that. We would have needed to plan this instead of you messaging me like yesterday, like, can we do this tomorrow, tomorrow? After I
I tried.
forgot. It's not your fault. I had a message planned like, hey, when did you want to do this?
I,
And then my kid interrupted me and I never sent it. So,
again, I have a kid. This happened. All right,
yeah.
carry and
Um,
hoist.
so it's the Nat carriers, those big old
Yeah,
toolboxes.
the hoist is an arm over arm.
I pick I pick Tom for this one.
Yeah, he's really good at arm over arm. Hooper's good at arm over arm too, and Hooper's good at carrying.
Uh, it, they'll be right up there
And then
together,
and
I'd
then
say.
Singleton is really good at those things, and his grip is better than Tom and
Singleton might win that
yeah,
whole thing, that
yeah.
event.
And if Hatton gets in there, I bet you. Well, I don't know what his arm over arm is, but
His build not generally good for that. You ever see Zadrunas do arm over
yeah,
arm? Not good. I don't know if Hatton's is or not. Just
yeah, yeah,
if you go in by that
right. And Trey
stuff
would struggle with that because of the grip thing, maybe. I don't know. Although
grip.
his
Yeah, you just don't get as good of
yeah,
extension. Being nice, tall, arm over arm is real nice to be.
yes,
Real tall and like
yeah. Or
like
Mateus.
pop
Yeah.
like a yeah.
He's
Mateus,
he's
very good.
tall
Yeah,
though, right? He's like 6'4" or 6'5".
Mateus, he's
Yeah,
at
he's a
least six
big
five.
dude. He looks short because he stands next to Thor, but he's a big dude.
Yeah, he's always next to Thor, and he has a different build in strongman where he's like narrower in the hips but very
Yeah,
wide. Like a lot of these they're blockier. He's like a more like he looked like if he grew up here, he'd be like a
yeah,
linebacker, like
right, right. You're very, very tall backer.
very
Yeah.
fast.
So
Yeah, a
he
little
he
tall,
he could
but
get in there. Yeah, he'd be a defensive end, but he could get in there. He could
defensive
win that
end.
event,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I
Because
agree.
remember that.
It depends on what his condition, how good his conditioning is. If it's
But
still down
remember that
back,
year where Trey blew out his Achilles at the Rogue? Was it the Rogue? No, it was
it
the
was
Rogue. Remember his on that Rogue coaster, that arm over arm, like Mateo
killed
mashed it.
everyone.
It was
Yeah.
insanity,
All right. So I'm
Yeah,
Mateus for this one. Mateus, you pick like the top
yeah,
three,
yeah.
four is how I
Hooper,
go through
Mateus,
these. So
Singleton, although Tom could be in there too.
yeah, top three, four. That's about where I'd have it. And then the people that might struggle that we have like
Hmm.
Hatton, and Trey,
Hatton,
I would
Trey.
say. Max deadlift, Hooper wins this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, Trey. I mean, Trey could challenge. Are there like it's suited, but Trey doesn't like to wear suits? Yeah, Hooper wins this. Hooper,
Yeah.
Trey.
Hooper wins this because he actually will wear a suit.
Also, have you
Yeah,
seen his
I think.
training? What he's up to?
Yeah, it's
What are you
insane.
doing? Yeah, yeah, nuts. Yeah, Hooper. Who
It depends on someone, other people. It could be good, and it depends on it goes in.
yeah, Andrade.
Trey.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Rag,
Matt Rag. Yeah,
Andrade.
Matt Rag would smash this. Didn't Matt Rag post a video like last year where he pulled like 540 on an 18-inch or something?
Yeah, it
It was
doesn't
something I
surprise me
was
at
just like,
all.
what? It was wild.
But that depends. Hercules hold sometimes a tough event for
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah. Hooper has great grip. Evan has great grip. Hooper and Evan.
Yeah, it's again a bad event for
Yeah,
Trey.
bad for Trey. Although he did good on one Hercules hold. He seemed it's apparently like when his arms are straight
You know
down,
what?
that's where
You know what? That's a thing where like I know he's very good at Hercules hold, but sometimes would drop farmer, so it's like a
yeah.
different position. So maybe it's not as bad of a
Yeah.
event as
And
it
it's
could
yeah,
be.
it's apparently from an accident or something. I think he got like second on a Hercules hold and like Mark Felix beat him or something, a guy with like 20 inch,
He might
yeah.
have. Yeah, it's a different grip. The other thing with the Hercules hold, it's pulling you apart. So like through this chest right here, it kind of pulls a lot on that. So I think that's one of the reasons like Obi was better at it.
Well,
Very good bench, very
Trey
good,
has
thicken the chest, in the
biggest
chest.
chest I've
There's
ever seen on a human being, and like Trey
it's
is like
ridiculous.
he's like a refrigerator with a head. I mean, like,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. He's basically just Zydrunas
but
Savickas
like
continued.
yeah, I mean, somehow less
Bigger though, but
round.
it would have to
Yeah,
keep evolving,
he's less round and
you
big.
know.
Just like he's so big in the shoulders. It's just
Yeah, it's the difference between pull it like a Eastern European food and Texas barbecue. The
yeah,
build there.
exactly. Who else? I mean, I feel like Hatton would figure this one out. I don't know. I don't,
Kilshkowski's good
yeah,
grip. Depends on some of the injuries. Sometimes your elbow and
right.
stuff. Because he had like what was it, the tricep
Yep.
surgery, which is finally better. He had like tricep surgery. Sometimes the pull on that can not be great if you've had like an elbow injury or something. Um,
Yeah.
it depends. Any of the Canadians, if they get through, they always
Canadians
have
have
good
great
grip.
grip.
That's
Yes. I'm
I
half
just
Canadian.
just I don't even care what
Can
Canadian it
confirm.
is.
It's the one gift I was given was weirdly great grip. So yeah. Um,
Is that just the
I
cold
don't
up there?
know.
What
My
is that?
dad had crazy grip too. My dad used to take
Brother.
like pennies. Like he just had like weirdly strong fingers and he would like work it for a while, but he would like bend pennies. It was just like it was total. I've seen like it's like the trick strongmen do that, but it's just
Yeah,
crazy. But I think also pennies that are pure copper are a lot easier to bend than the
a little
one
more pliable.
with zinc. Yeah, once you
Yeah.
put zinc in there, it's like it's much harder. But he would. My dad just had crazy strong grip. I don't know. He
Hmm.
was full Canadian, so
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
you got
Um,
a little less.
yeah, a little less, just half that. But okay. So Flintstone. I mean
Hatton.
Hatton, and then I guess Hooper and Andrade,
Yeah.
and then
Maybe
well, Stillman would be like fourth, and if Andrade doesn't
he
make
looks
it,
like he's improving. Trey might get out by then. He's had more practice.
and traded that psychotic lift, and it was a training video, but like remember that one where he like just strict pressed like I don't know what it was, like 550 or something, just obnoxiously unbelievable.
He's got strong shoulders.
That's ridiculous.
Singleton looked like he should have done good at that at the Arnold, and kind of it wasn't quite where it should be. So maybe give him another little bit, different
And again,
circumstances.
he did that one in training that was like, what? But yeah,
550 or something. Yeah.
I think at the Arnold, I think he had like him and Bobby Thompson, they had like the platforms too high. So like they couldn't like squat
Dip is
down.
good. Yeah.
Something looked off with Singleton there. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the ability is there. Well, it's also hard because I think that's also a thing, not knowing where you set the boxes. Because if you looked at his training videos, he was training out of a rack,
Back.
which
Yeah.
you can dip as much as you want. There's nothing there, so you have to that. I remember I was training, and there was like it was like a CrossFit gym that was like a weightlifting gym that had CrossFit to be able to be open. It was a weightlifting gym, so they had like the wooden boxes, and they'd like, oh, just do your overhead on here, and it's different to press off of boxes. It's
Right.
like I'd tap it and like setting it up, like you have to get used to it. So
Yeah.
hopefully he went to Home Depot, put some stuff together and build some boxes.
No,
You know,
I
if you're
swear I
competing,
watched the video where he was coming off the rack again.
yeah. So that's the kind of stuff like when you're talking about with the coaching, it really makes a difference. Some boxes is not that hard. That's the ones that we had at our gym where,
Yeah.
or you're not living in the middle of nowhere. Go
No,
take
no, yeah,
take an go to a weightlifting gym that has bumpers and boxes.
yeah, yeah. It's just,
It's worth it.
it's yeah. That's kind of was my point with Evan, where it's like, like, and even like Brian Shaw, who I know, he's been around, but like and that Alec guy that coaches Hatton, like they know what they're training for. Like, all right, this is how this overhead press is going to go. You have to, have the boxes. Like Lucas knew exactly where to put it so he could get his max thrust, and a lot of people struggled with that. Like
Yeah,
Bobby
and
too.
when you're lifting 500 plus pounds
Yeah,
and you just feel a little less uncomfortable, it's gonna make a big difference. So yeah, I'd say pretty on that. The stone's gonna be an interesting one because it's it's the event that's not it's the one that Hooper can lose on. Not that it's a bad event, but
he's not
I'd
great.
say it's
He
just
he he
no.
he says he's great at it, but he's never. I've never seen one where he like wins, right?
You don't see where it all comes down to stones.
Yeah,
It's not you're not like, oh cool, he's good.
yeah.
You're not confident in him in that
I mean, I
scenario.
would just say if it comes down to Tom and him tied going into stones, then Tom wins World's Strongest Man based on.
Yeah. And that's a nice to know going through the whole contest if you're someone.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. It's having
um
that one event in your back pocket where you're just the best in the world at something. So and
and it's the last
it's the
one.
last event. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I mean, Tom obviously is runaway for him.
Trey.
Trey's great. Hooper, third, fourth on this, second. I could see any of those scenarios. Um, so I don't know. I mean, he was posting some training videos of him playing around with stones and like just up, like taking, I think, what was it? It was like a 220 kilo stone and like putting it up here, basically
Yeah, big
a high
extension.
platform.
Uh
So
he has gotten better at them, I feel. I feel like a few years ago it was more of a liability. Now he's not like it's not gonna maybe not cost him an event, but it's also not gonna win him a contest, is how I'd put it now.
yeah. All right. So who do you have
You know, you
winning
know.
overall? Who's your winner?
Oh my God.
I remember you got to take into account their heat performance.
Yeah, that's a big wild card. It makes it a lot tougher who goes in because it's, six events basically.
Yeah,
It's gonna, there's total points, not 50. Based on that, I think it's more likely Hooper wins.
yeah,
Um,
I agree.
I,
Yeah, um,
I,
I would even
I,
say, and again, nothing against Tom Stoltman, but like last year, Hooper didn't win because he tore his hands apart. Uh, and
yeah,
nothing against Tom, just I was.
that's part of the sport.
It's part of the sport. But Hooper was way ahead when that happened, and then he just couldn't. He had two bloody hands for the rest of the show. So I just think Hooper again. We're just watching this weird period in strongman where there's just someone who's just better than everybody else, and I don't see. I see Lucas Hatton as being the guy who's probably second best in the world. Um, to me,
At least overall, maybe
oh,
not second best at
not at
Worlds,
worlds.
but like if you take the whole
Yeah, I'm saying
thing,
overall, because like I just think like when Strongest Man on Earth comes around, it's all max events. I just think like Hatton will place higher than Tom Stoltman there. You know.
whole other subject. But
Yeah.
I think this upcoming Strongest Man on Earth might be the time for Thor to win another title. I think it suits him well. But it's that. Well, that's a whole other
I mean,
conversation. I'm just gonna
yeah,
throw
but
that out there
again,
like a little,
I
a
mean,
little.
boy, we'll do that one, I guess. But like, I just think you're gonna injure a lot of the best athletes in the world. Like, I'm just like, ooh, what are you doing with this show? Like, what is it? It's like seven max events. Like, it's just like, oh,
which is why I suit Thor. I think he's very resilient as far as his body,
So is
like
Hooper, though. I
without
mean, so
getting
is
hurt.
Hooper's just another.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I feel Hooper wins. Um,
Hat 18-inch max probably not as bad for Hatton. I'd say Singleton if he's on and doesn't make
could be
mistakes
second.
could be on the podium again, even second. Yeah,
Even
with this.
yeah. Oh, I'm just hang on. I'm just trying to think. All right, hoist and carry. Tom will do great. 18-inch max deadlift. I think he's mid pack. Tom. Uh, I think
Yeah,
Hercules hold. He's mid pack. I think Flintstone. He's
fourth,
fourth,
fifth. Yeah,
and he wins Atlas. So maybe two event win. I think Tom's like second or third. Yeah. So someone could get in there. Someone could get in there.
yeah. I think yeah. Hatton could get in there. I think it depends on the Hercules hold,
Yeah.
Stones.
And then I'm just thinking out loud here. So like Singleton, Carry and Hoist could win. 18-inch max. I don't know. I just don't know. Could be second. Could be fifth. I don't really
Third,
know.
yeah, yeah, could be anywhere in between
Yeah,
there,
could
really.
win Hercules hold or come second. Mac Flintstone he's probably fourth or fifth, and then Stones he's probably like what third. So he
Yeah,
could easily be second place, or he could be fourth place. So.
yeah, he's probably a guaranteed top five. Could be as high as second, I'd say.
Because like Hooper,
Um,
I'm looking at it again. Like Hooper could either win or be second place on the carry and hoist, wins deadlift, wins Hercules hold, in my opinion. Second on Flintstone and second on Atlas, wins the whole thing, and probably comes in first place overall on the heats.
the place overall, the heats I think helps
Yep,
Singleton and Hooper in
yep,
this versus like a Trey.
for sure. For sure.
So I'll say my podium is Hooper, Tom, and Singleton. Pretty much the same as last year.
Yeah, I'm gonna
With
wait. If Lucas Hatton though,
yeah, well I forgot. Yeah, I forgot.
I
Yeah,
I could
could
see.
get second or
Yeah,
third.
I could see this year being Hooper, Singleton, Hatton.
It's
I
possible.
could see that because I think let's see. All right, Hatton, hoist and carry. He won't win, but he won't be like eighth, right? I mean, he's
Could be
okay,
four,
4 to
6.
6. 18-inch max, probably top three or four. I mean, like Trey will beat him. Um, Singleton will probably beat him. And then like if Andrade's in there, that's the other thing. We're not talking about like the guys that get in between. You know what I mean? So, and
Yeah.
then
Who makes the finals really
yeah,
matters. I think who gets
yeah,
third or
yeah,
fourth. It's a whole different contest
yeah.
depending on it.
But I don't want to count Tom Stoltman out. I have no idea, dude. This is hard. And again, Lucas may not make the finals. That's the other thing. He literally may not make
It's
it.
possible.
So I don't know. Ugh. All right, there it is. Figured it all out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all settled. You don't need to watch. Check out the
But you
spreadsheets,
can't
of
watch if you
course.
wanted to.
Have
So there
fun
you
with
go.
Worlds. Yeah.
I'll send
But
a Instagram post when it's all done from.
yeah, follow
Yeah,
Jonny Lieberman on Instagram for live updates.
yeah, maybe I don't. Well, they tell you like you just can't post video, right? You could like post a still image and say Tom won the event, right? I mean,
Man, I can tell you, I've been at the contest. It's way harder to update them being there than
oh,
being at home.
just
Like if you're
because
trying to
the
do that,
internet's all crammed up,
weird. The internet, you're like, if you're just at home, you have like one person just like messaging you, like,
right?
it's like,
Right. Oh, I'll text you. How
you know,
about
I sure.
that?
And I'll try to remember to post them on the Starting Strongman
There we go.
Instagram or something. But there's enough people. They all
Yeah.
got it coordinated. They figure it out now. The Worlds is better about posting what
Yeah,
happened
I
too.
noticed that. I mean, I am gonna miss I last couple of years I've done that spreadsheet watch party with Laws and Liz and it's a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, it. I feel like World is almost more fun as a fan because you don't know exactly
in a
what's
weird
happening.
way. Yeah, it kind
Like I remember before Worlds would post anything online, I was following like Malaysian travel blogs and they'd post a video like in 17 and like, and I'd find like one person like in Malaysia that like like actually had an iPhone that's like uploading it. Life is able to then you're pieced together,
of.
hand time. Like I did all that stuff
Yeah.
back then. It was crazy, but it was fun. It was good. My kid was just born and I'd have to get
Oh,
up with him at night. I'm like, oh cool, the
right,
event's going
right, right,
on.
right, right.
Like in the morning, it was
Yeah.
perfect.
I love how it was the
17.
Rogue, how the Rogue did it, where you could just like kind of find it on YouTube and just like on Sunday morning, just like hit play and just fast forward through everything.
Yeah, Rogue does a great job with their YouTube with the
Yeah.
Arnold and the
Arnold.
Rogue. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was it was fun. We probably got everything wrong. Everyone disagrees with us, but that's
Well,
all
right,
part
you're
of
right.
it.
So Hooper,
And
he got divorced, so he can't win World Strokesman.
no,
We are anti-England because we didn't say Tom Stoltman's going to win, and I don't know, something bad about Haddon. I don't know.
yeah, I said Sacramento's better than Texas, so that takes four of the athletes. But appreciate you coming on.
Oh,
Follow
dude,
Johnny on
so much
Instagram.
fun.
I'm
Thank you.
at Lieberman with no H,
No H. Yeah,
and have fun at Worlds.
I will.